My first time, and it's episode 181.
The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Need a show about outdoor living? This is where it's at. With your hosts, Shane Chapman and Way Laurent. Thank you for tuning in. Now let the show begin. Yeah. The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Let's go.
Hey, buddy.
What's up?
Not much. It's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
Earlier today than we typically do.
Like 10 o'clock?
Yeah, but that's okay because everybody's got things to do. It's the weekend.
It's so early. Shane isn't even in his seat.
He'll be here soon.
Started without him.
Like, he'll be here soon. And then when he gets here, we'll get rolling.
I
did the intro. I think I did pretty well.
And Shane sat down.
What? We're live. We're actually recording.
We are live.
I'll try not to breathe too heavy then.
Yep.
You ran up the stairs, so that's impossible.
I didn't actually get to the stairs. I only got, I didn't go down them. I just got to them.
Oh, it leaned over the edge.
You just shouted out.
Way to conserve energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So, what are you guys talking about? You started this thing, so you carry it.
Yeah, so far we just talked about doing an earlier podcast because we have things to do. What do you have to do this weekend?
Nothing is what's going to happen.
Well, you are doing something.
Well, I'm doing something. We are heading, by we, I mean my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my dad, so the four of us, are heading up to, it's known as Dead Lake, but apparently the actual lake name is Nipu, Nipew. I don't know how you say it. Nipu Lake. It's a fly-in fishing lake, like an hour north of La Ronge, I'll say.
Oh, that's so good.
That's a long ways.
Yeah, you drive up to...
How long is the drive?
What's the date today? June?
It's 8-hour drive.
Darn.
It's an 8-hour drive and then a 12-minute flight.
Yeah, the flights are quick usually.
To this lake. So yeah, the flight's a short one, but it's a little water skipper.
And even if it doesn't go well, the plane is designed to kind of land wherever.
Yeah, there's more water than land up there. So it's like lots of runways for it.
Have you been on a float plane before? Have you taken
I
off?
have not.
So it's super interesting.
Nothing about this
have you done?
Trip have I done.
You don't you've fished before.
Hardly though.
This will be different fishing for you. You will catch fish.
Yeah, because there'll be a fish on the end of my line. That'll be different.
Lots.
Since I've been a kid, I remember fishing once as a kid in a creek, and it was a little tiny jackfish. We got some volume issues here. And so I've not been fishing since then that I recall. Maybe shore fishing, like cast line, and nothing. Last summer, maybe 2 summers ago, I went out at Kenosee Lake with my dad in the boat, and we caught one little jackfish out there. I caught it. It was casted twice, caught one fish. That's the only fish we caught all day. So that's my experience fishing. That's it.
Cool.
And so
this will be significantly
This is fishing.
This will be a lot different, yeah.
So fishing's about.
You're going to love fishing after this trip.
Yeah, well, I hope so, because I'm buying all the gear to do it now. But I watched a quick video yesterday of a guy, they shot a series up on this exact lake. It was a Tourism Saskatchewan fishing show guy that was on this lake, and he was pulling fish out of that lake
Big fish?
That's all that was in it. Yeah.
They're twice the size of your kids when they're born.
He'd be like, oh, this is a good size. When you pull it out, it's like a 40-inch pike. And he's like, yeah, no problem pulling out 40-plus inch pikes out of this lake all day long, every day. And it was like,
monsters.
They're monsters. So, yeah, I don't know.
Did that ever terrify you when you were kids? You're swimming in the lake?
Yes.
And then you really don't know what's underneath you. Mm-hmm. And those big jackfish in the lake.
I was always worried about that as a kid.
Yeah. I would say I still think about that.
But it didn't stop me from getting in the water, but we would swim as kids. So we have always kind of gone fishing. That was one of the things that my parents really enjoyed to do. Mm-hmm. So I would be in northern Manitoba and northern Saskatchewan and go fishing. And we'd get to the middle of the lake, and then my parents would be
jump off.
Get off the boat.
Yep.
Put a life jacket on when we were young enough. But then as we got older, it was no life jackets and you would just swim. But we would swim in 50 feet of water. And no kidding, when I was a kid, I was like, what's in there?
There's something down there,
right? And mom and dad are like, yeah, but they're a long ways down there, and
they're not coming up.
You're bigger than they are, so get in the water.
Mm-hmm. What's scarier to you? Swimming in shallow water, 10, 12 feet deep, or swimming in super deep water, like a 300-foot deep lake? What would give you more of the
300
EBGBs
foot,
a little bit?
the 300 foot.
Okay.
Well,
and I know that for sure because I was swimming in, I want to say that I was in Hawaii. Nope, Grand Caymans. I was in the Grand Caymans.
Yeah.
And I was snorkeling in an area and you could see the bottom, but it was 30 or 40 feet. Like the water was super clear and I was snorkeling. And then I swam out far enough. And what happened was like you could see the shelf and then it just went black. Ugh. And there was nothing.
Yeah.
I went out a little bit and then I turned around and came back, was like, I don't really like that feeling.
Yeah.
It just feels so small.
It's so weird.
The other thing is that
I've not experienced that in person, but I think that would freak me out.
Because I've been fishing quite a bit, I understand that big fish usually sit on the edge of those shelves. And so if you're fishing, what you're about to do, you should always bring your bait across that shelf because big fish will sit in the deeper water and then they'll swim up off that shelf and that's where they get their prey from. Right. The smaller fish will swim up. So at that very moment when I swam across over that really dark area, I felt like prey.
Like you were done.
And I was like, if there's a megalodon, it's
it's
over for me.
Yeah.
Right?
What a way to go though, eh? Like if you're going to go.
If you're going to be, I'd like to be eaten fully though by a shark.
One bite.
I
wouldn't want it.
I don't want that like flip you around.
Yeah, that would suck. But would it what if it was so big? There was a guy recently that was actually swallowed by a whale.
Yeah.
Alive.
Smokes.
Like he was inside true Moby Dick story.
Pinocchio.
And I believe he got out. I believe he somehow frickin' got back out of the whale.
I got processed.
No, I don't. I think he came back out the way he came in, if I recall. But like
tequila.
How interesting would that be?
Exactly.
You're like swimming along. It's like
not interesting.
Inside of.
Well, I don't understand how that just doesn't happen when those photographers are taking pictures of those whales.
Right. So like
a blue whale is so big.
Yeah. Right. Or even humpbacks.
Yeah.
Like when a humpback comes out of the water, it is a significant animal.
And I believe that's what swallowed this guy was a humpback.
Yeah. Well, because you want to get on your little canoe or kayak and catch all the best pictures, and then all of a sudden it's like, you've seen humpbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you were in Hawaii?
Well, not up close and personal, like not one that was about to eat me, but like from a distance.
So I was on a boat,
right?
And there was a humpback that came up maybe 20 feet away from the boat.
Oh yeah, that's pretty close.
They're
really close.
Massive.
Yeah.
Like massive animals. And they're not the biggest ones, right? Like you said, the blue whales.
Blue whales, right?
Way bigger. I was like, oh boy.
But this isn't like a storybook where you get swallowed and then you just light your lighter and you're like, oh, hello.
Yeah,
That's not the experience inside. They're like, what would that be like? That'd be wild.
It'd be awful.
You would just be pitch black, still in water, presumably. Like floating in whatever it just
I feel like it would be like
inhaled.
a wet sleeping bag.
It'd be awful.
Yeah, but it would be like
awful.
fleshy
Right? It'd be
and
like-
probably stink if you did have air in there. Like,
Yeah.
what a weird experience.
And moving.
And cruising. And you don't know where you are at that point. Like, are you still on the surface? Did this thing just dive 100 feet down? Like, if I get out of this thing, where am I?
It's got to go up
Am I just dead?
sometime.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. So that really dark shelf, that was scary.
Yeah, I've seen some videos
And
of.
then all of a sudden it was like, wow.
I've seen some
deep is
videos
that?
of that. There was like some place in the world, I don't know where it is, that there's basically a big circle drop off thing.
That's where the guys free dive.
People go swimming out and then just like swim over top of that. And for some reason, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's like you're at no more risk of drowning or
No, exactly.
You're still floating in the water just the same. But for some reason, I just like, that's creepy. I don't like, though, when I'm swimming even at a shallow lake, like around here or something, the fact that it is shallow kind of bugs me because more than the fish, I worry about like getting like seaweed and shit touching my feet when I'm in there. I don't like that. I prefer a deeper
that
lake.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
I mean, that was always the thing that freaked me out is when you're like tubing behind the boat and you get wiped out and then the boat's like 100, 200 feet away from you and you're like, I'm out here all by myself.
Yeah.
So
They
for
don't
some
get back
reason,
to me.
The lake I don't worry about because typically we're bigger than everything in lakes, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's
a jackfish or a pike, if you want northern pike, they're not going to eat you.
Yeah, what about Lake
They're not even
Placid?
going to bite you.
There's
Actually.
crocodiles.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
And that's why I'm not super worried about the fish in these lakes around here. Because it's like, well, what? Like, they're not going to try to bite you. If they did, what would they take a little bite in your toe and then bugger off? Like, they're not going to hurt you.
That's right.
So,
Yeah. But when you're in the ocean, you have salt water, and then you swim over
Yeah, there are a lot of things in there that could eat you.
Things change.
And hurt you.
Yeah, and maybe not even hurt you, like not eat you. Maybe it's a stingray that just comes cruising by and was like, or jellyfish.
Have you ever been stung by a jellyfish?
Nope.
Shane just want to talk about peeing on someone.
Somebody's got to get peed on.
Yeah. I want to piss on you.
Yeah.
Drip, drip, drip. Pee, pee, pee.
I think I'd be looking for just normal ammonia. I'd be like,
Also, like,
We just
what's
get
more
normal.
readily available when you're out in the boat or in the water? It's like way easier to pee on you, in my opinion. But anyways, yeah, we leave tomorrow. We drive up there. We stay one night in a cabin in Mississippi, which is like the last end of the road
do you get a chance to go see the falls
on
up there?
Otter Lake. I don't know.
There's some
I don't
falls there called the Stoyak Falls. They're huge.
Just
Awesome.
like right around Mississippi or what? Okay.
Yep.
Well,
And there's like
maybe
an
if we have time.
old church there as well.
And then
Mission church.
Sunday morning, we get on the plane and we
First
take
church.
off. 8 in the
Nice.
morning, I think, out to the cabin. No cell service. Nobody else around. We'll be the only people on that lake. You just
nice.
get dropped off for 4 days and it's like, good luck.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeez.
It's the best. If you get nervous, call me. I'll trade you.
He can't.
Yeah. There's a satellite phone for emergencies, apparently.
Before you go, if you like last minute decide you can't do it, just call me.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go.
Wait, get up here. Nope. That's it.
That's it.
What about you? What are you doing this weekend? You're going.
He's going bear
bear
hunting.
hunting.
Did you talk about that already?
Nope.
A little.
I missed that?
Yeah, I just said I'm going to go bear hunting. Nowhere near as like
It's not as cool.
not as crazy.
Are you
Unless
bear
I
hunting
Is
or
it?
baiting?
Is it
Unless
not,
I-
not as crazy?
Unless I shoot a bear.
Yeah.
Like if I actually shoot a bear,
You might not even see a bear.
so it might be completely uneventful, or it might be one of the most eventful things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I was going to say on paper, that sounds like a much more terrifying journey.
If I shoot a
Going
bear,
fishing.
Yeah.
the plan would be that it will be around 30 yards from me. And that's how close it'll be if I do it. So,
Okay.
It's like across the road.
yep. I plan to be in a tree stand, but bears can climb trees. So, and they do. Sometimes they actually like come up because they know you're there. They can smell you and
Of course.
tell you're there. So sometimes they're just more interested in the food than you. And sometimes they get tired of the food and then they want to come check you out. And so,
Yep.
Hmm.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope to see one.
I don't know how I'm going to segue this into railing, but
I don't know, but there is like, I would say at least a 30% shot that you're doing this podcast by yourself next week. we both may not come back.
yeah, exactly. You guys are going off in the middle of nowhere.
What are you
no
doing this
cell
weekend?
service.
Going to a fly-in fishing trip where there's no life and no communication tools for 4 days. Oh, okay. And what are you doing? Gonna go shoot some bears from like arm's length away.
It'll be a memorial podcast next week.
Yeah.
Shane's lost in the woods, and we don't know what happened to Wade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All we got was the other thumb.
Just leave a thumb behind.
All right. Well, I don't know, Bryce, but do your best to try to segue that into the topic
Maybe you
today,
want to talk
I
about
guess.
safety.
Oh, was it safety month? No, that was last month.
No, but like railing is safety, and what we're about to do is not lots of that.
No.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm just going to use the sting, though.
Speaking of stings, think there's any murder hornets up there?
Oh, wow, murder hornets. That's a long time since I heard that word.
But the mosquitoes will be so big they'll look like hornets. I don't know that this coffee's any better.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to this coffee. This is not the kind of coffee you want to be drinking on your deck in the morning, leaning up against the railing.
There is something significantly wrong with our coffee maker this morning, or the water going into it. I don't know.
The water
but-
was fine. I tasted the water.
So it's the something's bad
It's
with
the
that
coffee
then,
maker
man.
now.
It's not good. Anyway, today's topic, Bryce, you're gonna have to kind of enter it. There's an article in a magazine that we're gonna talk about.
Wow,
Thanks,
you
Shane.
delivered that. You delivered that real good.
Yeah.
So we got a copy of the Merchant magazine from the Voice of the West's LBM supply chain. And they had an article in there that was quite interesting. So interesting that Shane decided to throw it on my desk
Yeah, because I didn't want to read it.
because you didn't want to read it.
Tell me if this is interesting.
So the feature story was something that we always get asked questions about anyway, which is railing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's 9 questions to help customers choose the best deck railing
Oh yeah.
by Chase Moritz. I hope I said that right.
Chase Moritz. Thanks, Chase Moritz, for your research and giving us the basis for our topic on the podcast today.
And so we're gonna
Shout out
go
to Chase.
through all 9 of his questions and critique the hell out of them.
Fine.
Okay.
Ready?
Rock and roll.
Ready.
Okay. So he kind of broke this down into two different setups. One is setting up your project. So like, what's the ideal railing for the project? And then from that, you choose aesthetically.
Okay.
So the first like 5 questions are about choosing the ideal deck railing for the project. So the first question that he says that you should always ask your customers and that customers should always know is, what is the required height in your area that code calls for?
Certainly.
Like that's just like the first thing to go by, I guess.
That's a good starting point.
It is. So the most common, like the two common heights are 36 inches and 42 inches. But it's a good question to ask because it differs from place to place as to when you require a 42-inch height rail. Here, specifically, if your deck is over 6 feet tall, you require 42. Is it 6 feet?
Yeah.
6 feet tall, you require 42-inch height rail. Under 6 feet, you could do 36-inch rail. But because it's very, very common to need the 42, that's generally all that people stock around here. Like you don't find 36-inch rail sitting on a shelf just anywhere. It's kind of a special order thing only. They just carry the 42 because it works in all applications.
Correct.
Is that 6 inches really like a big?
What's
you know
the halfway
what?
point?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever see a deck that's up in the air, like a second story walkout or something, it's 11, 12 feet in the air and it's only got 36-inch rail, it looks really not safe.
Oh, really?
But if you think about where your center of gravity is on your legs, like somebody like me who's 6 feet tall, 36, I'm 6'2". At 36, that's below the halfway point of me. That means if I walk into that thing,
You go right
I
over.
could tip over that thing.
Yeah.
Then you give it 6 more inches. Now it's above my center of mass. So for me, I feel like it's fairly important.
It doesn't do anything to me. I'm only like 5'8". So.
Yeah, you just need a bumper, like a curb
Yeah,
at the edge of the
exactly.
deck, right?
Right. I wouldn't fall.
If you just like raise your fascia a little bit, it might be enough to keep you on there.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, there's some places like down in the States that they're okay with 36 inches like on those walkout decks.
Well, they have a lot more people. Like they can afford to lose a few.
Yeah, population
That's
control.
what you're going with.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. Like where's 3 feet's like barely above my knee?
No.
3 feet is exactly 36 inches from the bottom of your foot.
Half your
No,
body.
but I'm like 2 feet to my knee easy. So it's like sort of halfway between my knee and my hip. That's like that feels pretty low to me.
It's very low.
So that feels unsafe. But anyways, check your local building department because they'll tell you when you need 36-inch versus 42-inch height rail.
Have you guys ever had to go higher than 42 inches? You ever seen anything like that?
Around pools, you generally have to go higher.
Oh.
At least 5 feet. Some places 6
Right.
feet. So around a pool, you have to have it enclosed with a locking gate mechanism, and it's got to be at least 5 feet tall. In a lot of areas, 6 feet and some.
So is it more dangerous, do you think, to fall into the pool than fall off a really high deck?
Nope. Nope. And the other thing that doesn't make sense to me about this is that like you're trying to keep kids out of the pool.
Why are you going so high?
Right. They're usually pretty low to the ground, kids are.
Yeah.
Typically.
Typically.
But some of them are quite mischievous and they'll climb things.
They're like monkeys.
Yeah.
That is a really... I'm sitting here trying to like rack my brain. I was like, what is the reason? Why
is it so
Why?
high around a pool? Like, I understand you don't want kids to drown. Like, it's a safety.
Yeah,
Like,
but you also don't want them to fall
anything.
12 feet off a deck.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I hear you. In fact, if they fall into the pool, there's a good chance they can get out of it just fine.
Potentially.
Some of them may drown, but a lot of them will be like, oh, I fell in the pool, I'm going to swim out. You fall off 12 feet, nobody's like, no big deal.
There is a life
It's
skill.
all bad there.
There's a life skill you can teach your children around a pool to save themselves.
Screaming.
There is no life skill you can teach someone falling from 12 feet.
on your feet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Land on your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a cat.
Which actually might be a bad idea to land on your feet. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, there's certain times when you do need, like you're required to have that taller railing around pools and whatnot. Haney Construction here says code and aesthetics are not the same. Sometimes taller railing is more proportional and therefore the better option. And I agree with that because sometimes a bigger, taller deck with 36-inch height rail just doesn't look right to me. It's like it looks like it should be taller rail.
Right.
And likewise, sometimes a short, small deck with 42-inch height rail looks not proportional. It's like that seems excessively tall.
Typically, people will try to do 36-inch rail on the front, on the front landing. in this area, because those are usually kind of like a 3x6, 6x3, however you want to call that.
Yep.
So they're usually fairly small. So then to do big, tall, heavy rail,
Big bulky rail.
looks, yeah.
USMC on Instagram says the distance between the top and bottom rail on pool code makes it unclimbable, if that's a word. So for a child, I guess they can stand on the bottom rail and reach to the top rail to pull themselves up and climb over. But on a 6 foot tall or 5 foot tall rail, they can't stand on the bottom rail and then reach up to like climb over. So it's much more difficult to climb a taller rail.
Right. Still does not.
So then put the taller rail on the tall deck too. Yeah. We're okay with them climbing over the deck.
Right. If they climb over the deck and fall off,
a long way
like,
to the ground, just not into the water.
Let's move on, because that was a lot longer talking about the height of railing.
Yeah, sure was.
Going to be.
Sure was. Yeah.
So the second question is, does the deck have a lot of angles? So I can read the little blurb he's got here.
Yep, read the blurb.
If there are level runs with angles, certain styles of railing will be more user-friendly. Aluminum railings, for example, are the easiest to install on all level angles. Composite or cellular PVC railings can also be used, but may require a larger post sleeve at the angle. The degree of angles is much more limited with vinyl railings. I didn't really understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I do.
with the composite post sleeve, depending what the angle is, like you may have to bird's mouth cut in your top
Saying a
rail.
lot of words.
You for sure don't know that one.
Nope.
So if that post is going to run into the corner of the post, you've got to notch a triangle into it for it to seat into the edge of the post. Does that make sense?
Because you're going to put your post square, and then the railing is going to come into the point of that post.
Okay.
On the
So
corner.
you have to cut a bird's mouth.
Acute angles.
Yep.
Acute triangles.
around the post so that the railing can fit on there.
So you might have to do that. And then sometimes just on aggressive angles, it's just like, depending on how big the post sleeve is and how wide the top rail is, it might be wider than the post sleeve itself when you start getting a really aggressive angle on or something. Yeah. The nice thing about
Aluminum.
a lot of aluminum rails, there's two options on how to do that. A lot of aluminum rails have like a sleeve, a welded sleeve on the top, and some manufacturers like Regal, for example, they have a 45-degree post with sleeves that are already at the angle you need.
Yeah.
It's no different in dealing with that angle than it is with a straight line post, aesthetically and the install purpose, right? Like it's just slides in, it's really simple. Or if you need a really odd angle, they'll have like swivel brackets that are like, they look a little bit different. Like they don't look as nice.
They're not nice.
Not as clean looking. But they will allow quite a bit of flexibility in the angle that you can pivot them to, because they'll go like 90 degrees, probably even more than 90 degrees. Mm-hmm. So you can make it work with whatever angle. So, but if you have a bunch of corners and angles and you hate the look of those swivel brackets, well, then that's where this comes into. It's like aesthetically, I don't want to use that railing because I don't like how they deal with odd angles. Mm-hmm. And maybe you do want a composite that you can miter into or bird's mouth on a corner. Like it depends. It's an aesthetic choice on that one, 100%.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
But aluminum's going to be easier.
Yeah.
Aluminium.
Certainly.
It's the easiest.
Yep.
That's why it sells the most.
In Canada.
What are the surroundings like? That's question number 3.
Oh, yeah. So that will lead toward like what you want for sight lines and stuff, right?
Yep. Well, I don't like, it's like 2 sentences, and that's exactly what it said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you did that
View
much more
and sight
efficiently.
lines.
Yeah. So, I mean, you made it sound like we're going to get into more aesthetic questions later, but this is obviously an aesthetic question right now. It's like, what's on the other side of the rail? Are you trying to preserve a view? Because if you are, then you're probably going to want to look at some sort of glass railing or cable railing or something that's like fairly minimalist. Mm-hmm. And there's different levels of that certainly too. Like a basic aluminum rail can have glass panels in it to open up the view, but it would still have a top and bottom rail. Or you can do topless glass rail with aluminum posts, or you can do something like crystal rail or any other pod style mounting bracket for glass panels with no
like a pop post.
With no posts or top rail or anything. Or you can do cable, which is like, cable's a nice option because no cleaning really other than spider webs, but no glass water spots or dust or anything, but still like
less bird strikes.
Yeah. When you get used to the look of cable, you almost don't notice it anymore. So it gives a really nice sight line as well. Yeah. And if the back is looking at the back of your garage, like at my place, then who gives a shit?
Right.
Why spend money
Exactly.
on fancy railing if there's nothing to look at?
Yeah.
So go with pickets.
Go with pickets. Aluminum pickets.
Or maybe your backyard faces something unsightly, like, I don't know, a landfill, or directly across to your neighbor's kitchen window or something, and you want to put in like a frosted glass or something that gives more privacy.
Right.
Sometimes you want the view, sometimes you don't care.
Privacy wall.
Yep.
Then your heights of rail might come into play too then, right?
Right.
So
Don't want my
all
kid
sorts
going
of
in the
options.
pool. Anyway.
Yeah.
Or looking at the neighbor.
That's right. What is the project's budget?
I think that's always important.
I'm surprised that's not one of the first questions.
Well, it sounds like it is one of the first ones.
It's the fourth.
Yeah, it's in the top 5.
When you say one of the first, how deep do you go in that?
Top 5.
One of the first refers
No.
to what?
Like the top 2 questions.
How is that
They
even
have
a
to be
phrase?
the most important.
How is that
Isn't it the
one
first?
of the first? There's no one of.
Well, the first
is
okay.
singular.
Are we really gonna?
Yeah.
First,
No.
First would refer to a group.
No.
Because I saw a TikTok the
We
other day. The
have
guy was,
things
guy was
Don't you
talking.
have stuff to pack?
Wade wants to go bear hunting.
I saw a guy talking about the English language and how funny it can be sometimes.
Yeah,
and this is a perfect example of that.
One of the first.
One of the first.
Yeah.
My parents always said couple 3, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's a couple few. Everybody knows
Couple
that.
few. Depends where you're from in Saskatchewan, I guess.
Yeah. So budget, of
yeah,
course,
deck budget.
Of course, this comes into play because budget can be, wood rail can be very inexpensive. At least from a material standpoint, your rail might be $20 a linear feet with a pressure treated wood. Your aluminum rail might be $40 to $50 a linear foot for aluminum picket. You might be 60 to 70 for glass. You might be 120 to 150 for frameless glass. You could be that same price for cable. Your privacy wall could be $180 or $200 a linear foot. Like it literally could be 10 times from one style to the next when you start mixing infill kits and styles and heights and qualities and
some of these
all
are
sorts of
much more complicated to install than
Absolutely.
They don't require just
Yep.
more railing material. They require more material on your
Correct.
deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody should charge so much for wood rail that people then just switch to aluminum for the install. You should charge so much for install on wood rail that it becomes cheaper to do aluminum.
Yeah, because if you are hiring somebody to install this rail, wood's probably not the cheaper option anymore.
It
Because
shouldn't be.
what you've made up in material cost, which wood has gone up over the last few years anyway, so it's probably not even that much of a gap anymore. You're going to lose that on the install because the install for a carpenter to do that takes much more time. You're cutting everything.
Yep.
You're cutting the posts, you're cutting the top and bottom rails, you're cutting potentially the balusters, you're cutting all sorts of things, you're fastening all together. It's just like all custom, essentially, right? Aluminum rail, if you look at a system like the Fortress home rail, you have to cut the rail
Not
panel
cut
maybe,
much. Yeah.
and that's
fast.
it.
It's so
You fasten your post down,
It's so fast.
plumb right now, no leaving it loose to kind of slide things in, and you drop the rail panel in, put a couple screws in, snap the covers on, away you go. Like it's quick.
And it's easy, it sounds like. DIY could do that.
Yeah, and it looks way better.
Yep.
There you
So-
go.
And so budget should play a factor in that.
Yep.
That's why it's one of the first questions.
That's why it's one of the first questions.
Yeah.
The fifth question, unless you have some Instagram comments
Shane's
over there.
got some comments.
I do. I'm reading through them to see if they're relevant to the topic
He's
at
not
hand
reading.
here. USMC, this is random, but USMC says Barrett Outdoor Living was acquired today, by the way. Not sure if you guys do much of that up there.
No.
Haney Construction says, hopefully the new owners of Barrett don't drop the name Duralife for the decking. I'm not sure why he's tied to the name Duralife, but that's interesting. I've been talking to Barrett quite a bit about bringing some of their stuff in this year. Not the decking, but some of the other accessories and whatnot. So acquired by who? I'm curious a little bit, but
Whom?
and Corey Dubb says that's a pretty great system, the Fortress home rail.
Yeah.
He works for Fortress,
That's right.
as does USMC. 25% of our audience today is from Fortress.
So the final question in the what is the ideal deck railing for your project group is where is the project located? Coastal areas need railing materials that can withstand salty, moist air. So vinyl, composite, and aluminum are a better option than steel.
Yeah. So I think that if you owned a lumberyard or a building supply store in one of those areas, it wouldn't be a conversation you'd have to have with the customers,
Yeah,
because
I
you
was
would
gonna
just
say.
what I had there available for purchase would be good for that environment.
Yeah,
Seems silly for me to have a whole bunch of
you're not gonna sell that stuff mostly.
Iron and
salt. Like where we are right now, we don't have to worry about ocean water,
Right.
salt spray.
well, with the wind we get,
Yeah.
The amount of salt we put on the
it
roads.
could potentially carry that mist
Yeah.
4,000 kilometers this way.
It's unbelievable how windy it is here.
But you're right. It's not a concern for us here because we don't have that salt environment. But when you're within a mile of the coast, everything changes about all your building practices, including your railing. Sure.
Right.
So
And
aluminum doesn't rust. So that's a good thing.
Man, aluminum just seems like the bee's knees.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
The one part sometimes that aluminum does have is powder coated steel screws, and those can rust. So maybe you need to swap those out for a stainless steel screw or something potentially. But
That's about it.
a wood rail should perform if you maintain it out there. But you again got to make sure you're using the proper stainless fasteners and hardware when you're doing that in coastal regions.
And you're gonna have to oil the crap out of it.
You're gonna want to take care of that. Yeah. And
But again, this is something that I think if you're there purchasing, I don't know. I feel like your yard or your store should have your back in that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They wouldn't carry it.
You would
they
hope
should
not.
not suggest installing like
Steel.
iron rail or steel rail by the coast.
But some people have no morals.
I mean, if you're
People
gonna
have no morals.
if you're gonna be diligent on maintaining and painting and touching it up, then fine.
Your rail ethics are horrible. Okay, let's move on to the aesthetics, the fun questions.
Finally.
Yes. I feel like
Finally.
a couple of those were aesthetic.
Yeah, they were. But, Chase Moritz didn't do a good job of separating.
I think he probably did a really good job.
Probably.
Great at content, not great at organization.
That's right. So, number 6.
Sorry, Chase.
Sorry, Chase.
Right now, that just cut deep. He's like, oh, my wife says that all the time.
Yeah. He's going to be the first one to comment on this YouTube video.
Right?
So
Go ahead.
I said, let's hope.
Let's hope. Okay. Will the deck be used in the evening and therefore need lighting? This is an important question because a 2-piece top rail will provide the most labor-friendly application of LED wiring.
Before we move to answer that question, Haney says, aluminum doesn't rust, but it sure does corrode in a salty environment. Half my builds are at mansions within 100 feet of the NH, New Hampshire? What is that? NH.
Yes.
New Hampshire, Atlantic coast these days. Copper and high quality stainless steel are super important. Yeah, so aluminum doesn't rust, but it does oxidize. Like it's not completely bulletproof, but it's better than steel, is my understanding, in those environments. But I'm not in that environment, so I'll take his word for it. Stainless steel and copper are the number ones.
Okay.
They're one of the
railing.
first.
One of the first choices that you would make.
So should you light
One
your
of the
rail?
first. Yeah.
Is
Should
that
you
kinda
light
what-
your rail? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Are you going to use your deck at night?
What do you think, Wade?
So
Should we add
therefore,
lighting to
should
the
you
railing?
light?
I think we should add some lighting to the railing. I think it looks really good. It's the last place I would add lighting. Typically, I think lighting should be on your stairs right away. That'd be the first.
Not for me. That railing's at my knee height. I want to see where it is.
Yeah, he wants to
I
make
don't want to
sure.
hit that in the dark. Right.
Yeah.
Many, if
Lots of
not,
post caps, right? And I don't know that I love the post caps, but
yeah. There's the odd railing that doesn't have lighting accessories for their own system, but many do. And so post caps are probably the most common accessory available for any size post, wood posts, composite posts, aluminum, all of them. And then many others will have post mount lights, so you can mount on the side of the post. And some others will have like top rail lights, so you can undermount lights underneath the rail or strip lights in the rail. Like there's lots of lighting options that will work with railing. And yes, I absolutely think you should light it up. Why not?
Just light everything up.
Yeah.
It does a lot of things. It's like safety and as a ambience. Yeah. It's nice.
And you
It's
can
good.
use it at night. I think that's like
I think people
people
use
their deck at night,
I think
don't
they use
they?
it anyways, so you might as well have the lights on it. So
One of my favorite lighting looks for railing is actually, you could probably do this with many brands, but Regal Ideas has like an LED ribbon strip light that goes in the top rail. And if you do that with glass panels in there, it looks really cool. They can change colors and whatnot, but I've seen it done with like a textured glass
yeah, you did it with
a
that
pattern,
that
pinhead
reed. Yeah, pinhead.
glass. or even like a frosted glass would probably look really cool. And because there's so much texture to the glass, it really like, what do I want to say? Like dissipates or like refracts the light within the glass panel.
For sure, refract is the right word.
And so it like just gave, the first time I ever did that, no, I didn't do it. It was one of our managed installs, decked out contractor in Regina built the project, but we did this and the customer was like, well, we want privacy on that side, but we like to do the lighting all the way around the deck in there too. And he's like, what's that going to do? I'm like, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know what effect that's going to have.
Winging a prayer here.
Yeah. To have that in there, like the light will still come down, but I don't know how it's different than a clear panel. Turns out really freaking cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because whatever was kind of behind the glass panel, like you're on the deck and what's behind it, got blurred into whatever color, like whatever, it was a privacy glass. It just kind of blurs everything. So behind it, there'd be like a shrub and you get this like greenish glow here, but then the orange of the light would reflect other things. And you get this almost like multi-color, smooth,
very cool,
like blurry,
very cool
lighted look on the panel. It was so cool. I was like, that turned out way cooler than I even expected. Like
do that around your whole deck.
Yeah, it looks way cooler with the pinhead glass than it does with clear glass. 100%.
Yeah.
Really neat look.
Yep.
So do that.
So put lights on your deck.
Lakeview Dex Muskoka says, I love the concept of the crystal rail for their lighting, but I find the pods hideous. I'm super interested in the Spartan rail system. Are you guys familiar with that product? Finding it hard to source here in Ontario. Yes to both. We stock the crystal rail product. It is a great product. You're not the only one that thinks the pods look hideous. I think that's a fairly...
I think even the people at Regal think it looks hideous.
They look like spaceships, man.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah, big dino egg, spaceship-y looking things. They're pretty spacey looking. It's a weird choice.
I feel like whenever I see one of those railings, I should see it at like Burning Man in the desert or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just looks weird.
It does look weird.
Sculptural.
That said, the system itself is unbelievable. Yeah. It's awesome. The light's built into the pods. You don't have to add extra lighting accessories and worry about it. It's built into the pod.
Is that like...
Shines up through the glass.
Like you're sticking with it is awesome? So I don't love it anymore. I
think it is, yeah.
I used to.
It's certainly not, doesn't have the...
I feel like we've had a lot of issues with it.
There's been some issues with the lights.
Bulbs have been burning out.
Not holding up over time, yeah.
And that's a pain because... Like, let's be honest, when that stuff goes onto a deck, typically the bottom's closed in. So now you got to remove all the soffit. Like, how many lights burnt out on that one job that you did 3 years ago? Like,
it's a running total, I think.
Exactly. Like, you've changed just about every pod there. Not that I want to light Regal up, but I just think people should be aware of this.
Yep.
And so, like, the remotes break super easy because where they have the battery. And so when you go to replace the battery, almost every single person that has replaced the battery has broken it. And so then they got
a solder
point
on the like, battery holder or something. Yeah.
Right. So then they got to get a new remote. And it seems like almost every job we've done, we've had at least one pod burn out on.
Yeah.
Or the light, or they changed the color of the light. And so then you had to replace that. And when you replace those lights, it's not as easy as just like pulling the light out. You have to pull all of the glass off, set it down, change the light. Sometimes accessing it from underneath the deck, which means removing soffit. Like, it's not.
The Gen 1 was
flawless.
The Gen 1 was much more difficult to get to. Then they realized that was a problem.
Yeah,
I think, and they redesigned the light, which then they changed the color light at the same time, which created its own problem. But they redesigned the light so that you could unscrew the light from the top and take it apart and then put a new light on without having to unwire and disconnect everything from underneath. So that made it a little bit easier to get. You still got to pull the glass out and whatever. It's still a bit of a pain to do. But so yes, it's not without its issues for sure. But when it first came out, especially, it was like, that was about the biggest wow factor in the industry for a long time. It's still a really wow
cool, right? Like when it's working, it's awesome.
Right.
And the price for it is decent. Like to get the lighting really included in there, it's like it's compared to other frameless glass options. It's like it's comparable, yet it's even less obstruction of view because all it is these pods, and you get the lighting system kind of included with it. And so price wise, it's like a good premium priced option. The Spartan rail system is similar, but they have gone with a more traditional style spigot. It doesn't look like a spaceship egg.
Yep.
It looks like a traditional spigot, like stainless steel spigot on the bottom with a light in it as well. And they also have the ability to change colors of the light, right?
Yep.
The crystal rail is one color and that's it.
Correct.
They both use their what our glass manufacturer calls Starfire, which is like an extra pure.
It's a no iron
glass. So it's a very pure glass to allow the light to travel through the glass unrefracted.
Yes.
There you go.
Hits the edge of the glass that's polished and glows there. So it gives us like outside. Tron look. It's super cool.
Very cool.
So they both do that. The Spartan rail does, I think, look nicer, has the multicolors, which is cool. The reason you can't find it in Canada is because apparently they don't have whatever, I don't know if it's, what's the code
I would say
Safety
that
Council,
it's CMCA? CMCS?
Why is it skipping that doesn't sound right.
CMCC.
Whatever.
CMCC.
CMCC?
Yeah.
Approval on that rail yet. And apparently they have the equivalent approval in the States. So it's available in the States right now, but it's not available in Canada yet.
We'll have to smuggle it in.
And so I've talked to them about that because we're interested in it. It's a cool system. It's manufactured by a guy in Australia, a company Illuminated Balustrade. And it's a cool system. I'd like to get my hands on it, but apparently we can't sell it in Canada yet. So go figure, but it looks much better. Deck Protect says Brolaws just did a video, presumably about the Crystal Rail because they're Regal sponsored guys. Haney Construction says the pods are an alien abortion. Here's hoping they make a more classic shape one of these days.
The shape is for sure a holdback for some people. The shape does turn people off.
The shape is, and I remember you and I seeing Crystal Rail for the first time in person at the Western Retail Lumber Association buying show
3 or 4 years ago.
Probably more than that. Like,
maybe five.
Because it was before. It was like when it was coming out, then it got taken off shelves and it came out again. Yep. And Paul LaFrance was there because he was involved in the design of it with them when he was a Regal guy. And that was our first feedback too. It's like, this is freaking incredible, but like, what's with the spacey shape? Like that seems like a weird choice. And their thing is like, it's all in the engineering. Yep. It had to be that shape for strength and whatever else. And I was like, really? Okay, you couldn't have gone with something more square or released a cap that you could slide over, would give it a more traditional look or whatever. Anyway, I thought for sure by now they would have a different look, but
engineers are funny. They mess a few things up. You know? So I have a Ford truck, and I can tell you for certain that no engineer has ever hooked a trailer up. Like the Ford engineers that designed the hitch on the back of that truck have never towed anything. Because if one of them had ever hooked up safety chains on the back of their truck, they would redo that entire setup.
Yep.
You can't actually get the hooks through because the angle of like where you're supposed to hook your safety chains to, you can't actually put the hook through. So you drive around, and every Ford you see will have clevises on the back because I had to put a clevis on there. That was the only way I could hook the safety chains to my truck.
I have seen that a lot. I had no idea that's why.
Yeah, because I couldn't hook the chain to it. And so it was like, well that's silly. And so the engineer, whoever was designing this was like, oh, this would be such a good design. And then they did it that way. But they've never hooked a trailer
tested
up. Because if they had hooked a trailer up, they would have been like, well, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Same as these engineers that designed the lights were like, well, that works. They probably never put it out in the wild and looked at it.
No, definitely not.
Well, that doesn't look, could we try that differently maybe? So I don't know.
Could you just hang truck nuts from the back of your truck and then
easier to hang truck nuts than hook the trailer
and
up.
then do like a noose knot around the nuts and just like tow with your nuts. Would that work easier?
Well, it's only if it falls off the hitch that it becomes a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the time the nuts would be fine.
Deck Protect Inc. says the pods remind me of an SNL skit, Coneheads.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yep. That's the one.
Who's the lady in that? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Let's move on.
Please.
Enough about lighting. Will you be using the deck for frequent entertaining?
Does a bear shit in the woods? Like, what? What are we talking about here?
Do you know the one I heard the other day? I don't know if I should say it.
If you're questioning it.
Does Dolly Parton sleep on her back? That was the one that I heard the other day. And I was just like,
boy.
Yeah. So
Are you going to use? Well, yeah.
So the small sentence that Chase mentions here is, if so, a drink rail might be a great fit. It also provides a flat surface for placing drinks in small plates.
So awful.
It's awful.
I just took a sip of this one.
Why?
Okay.
I didn't even
Boy,
listen to your whole question. I was like,
About drink rails.
So I don't
Put
know.
a drink
that-
rail on
yeah.
if you're going to entertain back there, apparently.
I guess so.
I
Makes
like
sense.
the look of drink rails, to be
you?
honest, more than anything. Yeah, I do.
A little bulkier.
Because I think it allows you to tie the colors that are on your decking into the railing a bit. I like that look where it's like the decking is all whatever, tiki torch by Trex, whatever. Then you got black rail, then a nice tiki torch board on top again. I think looks sweet. But also it's like, why not do it? You can still like, what can't you do with a drink rail that you could do with a round top rail?
Hold
of
on to
aluminum?
the
You
rail
could-
when you walk down the stairs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you still need your graspable rail if you want. Don't put the drink rail. You're not going to put a drink on the stair rail anyway.
What if you need to
do.
slide the drink down the stairs?
But
Yeah, exactly.
you can still lean on it just the same as you would have without a drink rail, but now you can also set your thing on it. I think it's a good idea. We don't do enough of that. We don't sell enough drink rail clips for the Fortress system. Like we have them. People should use them. They should
Who
do
sets
drink
their
rails.
drink down?
I only set it down when it's empty.
Well, you could build your pyramid on the deck rail,
On the rail.
right?
Yeah. Drink rails they're a good idea.
Haney Construction says, Wade, hooks from the inside and under on an F350. By the way, I have truck nuts on my skid steer keychain because that machine has balls.
Hooks from where? Sorry?
Hooks from
Underneath,
the
you go from-
inside and under on an F350.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's how you hook up chains, right?
Yep.
Always.
yeah, but I don't know.
Yours-
Maybe
you
I
have
just
too
have the
tight of
wrong.
a-
Maybe I just have the wrong hook on there, but because I have the hook that has the part that latches back closed again, so that it can't fall off.
Right.
Maybe that part is proving to be the
Difficult.
Yeah.
Culprit.
Corey Dubb says Wade hasn't put a drink down in a long, long time.
He put that coffee down.
that coffee.
Is horrible.
It's
Do we want to entertain on decks? Deck Protect says, of course. We're Canadian. We're all tired of being inside for 7 months.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
He's in Ontario, so
What is the style of home?
oh, that's a really good one.
Yeah. Though there are no official rules, certain types of railings pair better with particular home styles.
Absolutely. And this is, I think, often not thought of, so it's a great question. But how well does this
The
tie
guy
into
just
the...
totally redeemed.
He redeemed himself.
Yeah.
He's coming back.
Attaboy, Chase.
Good job,
Is that
Chase.
his name, Chase?
Yeah, Chase Moritz with a Z. Z.
This ties in well to the crystal rail conversation because a crystal rail look absolutely does not work on a lot of houses because of that
heritage
futuristic,
home.
spacey looking. Yeah, you're not going to put that in a 120-year-old Victorian, like craftsman style house. Whatever, just not going to look right. Not only just the pods, but even like the lighting of the edge of the glass doesn't.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not that kind of light is not from that period of time.
Yeah.
They didn't have LED
No,
edge glowing glass.
You need oil lanterns.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you would probably do like a composite rail
Yep.
because it's like big bulky posts and big top rail. And
Yeah.
yeah.
There's certainly, and yeah, anywhere up in the Northeast, like New England area, where those style of homes with the front porches and the big white, like craftsman bulky detail woodwork is, you don't want to throw even just a standard aluminum rail. You don't want to put that on there.
Correct.
It's too thin. It's not weighted and proportionate to the rest of, the house probably has a porch with like 8 or 10 or 12-inch columns supporting the roof. You don't want to go up there and put a 2-inch post dinky rail.
Looks like you skipped leg day.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to fall over.
Yeah. So that there's certainly a lot to be said for that, and there's lots of different styles of rails. There's something that'll work for everything. But same with like cable rail. Cable rail is a super cool, modern, industrial look that is quite flexible for a lot of homes, but it might not work in some instances. I certainly think it's more flexible than the crystal rail
And
or
the
even
Tron
aluminum
rail.
rail.
We could call it Tron rail.
Because cable you can string through. That's not even a fair thing to
That's
say
what I
because
was gonna
cable
say.
you could run it through any type of post and top rail
Yeah.
situation to make it look right.
Yeah.
So
So cable rail.
very versatile. turns out,
Versatile
actually.
rail.
Yeah.
The last question is the desired look bold or blended? In the early days of composite decking, projects often matched the deck with the railing, choosing composite railing of the same or similar color as the deck boards. Today, it's trendy for railings to provide a pop of color and to choose a deck railing material based on preference rather than only to match the composite.
Yeah. So I feel like this happens a little bit here where people come in and often we sell like gray decking. That's probably the lion's share of what we sell. And when Regal and Vista came out with gray rail, there was a lot of people that were like, we should put gray rail on there too. It's like gray deck and gray rail.
Yeah. Real boring.
And I think we started down that path and we certainly put some value in that. But then
it might have been the same show that the Chris Rail was at when they came out with titanium slate and we're like, oh, that's going to be fire. That's going to do so well.
Yeah. But then I think what actually happened was when we started to sell to people, it was like, well, you're going to have multiple colors of gray and they won't match perfectly and they start to clash. And the soffit and fascia on your house is white and your windows and doors are white. And so maybe what you should actually be doing with railing is making it an accent to, like to the deck as opposed to trying to make it all gray. And I think in practicality, like in the real world application, that's what's happened.
Yep.
People are trying to match their railing to the trim of their house. And so the railing becomes the trim of the deck.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense. I appreciate the contrast versus trying to like blend it all together.
Yeah.
I don't
like you said with the drink rail, that's how if you want to tie your deck and rail together, there's an opportunity.
Sure, a little bit works fine, yeah.
Just go like this.
Just put it on top.
But there's also, I think, something to be said for those front-facing decks, the frontage of your house, the curb appeal. Like, does your house look nice and have nice features and you want to retain those? Okay, well then maybe go with something a little bit more minimalist for your railing that's out front, because if you have a larger porch out front or something, you don't want the railing to be the star of the show because the house has nice detail to it. So maybe you want to go with something that's like a thin top rail, cable rail that's not, and it's black. So it kind of like fades it into a little bit and allows the other features of the house to pop. You probably don't want bright white wall of balusters is the first thing you notice because it's closer to you and it like hides what's behind the house. And all of a sudden that's the star of the show. The Regal aluminum rail, budget rail is the thing you notice about the house. Like that's not a good look.
And most aluminum rail all kind of looks the same.
Yeah,
like
it looks
brand to
pretty
brand.
similar.
No one's like, that's definitely Regal rail.
Similar looks, yeah. I think the bulkier the post, the more kind of classy or upscale it looks a little bit. So to me, when you see like, for example, the Fortress again versus, like a home rail or something like that from, I don't know, like the Chinese stuff that's like a 2-inch skinny post. Well, the Fortress one with a 3-inch post looks much nicer. It's also got a much more substantial post base cover and potentially post caps on top that looks a lot more classy. And even the texture and the paint color too, right? Like the Fortress, that matte white finish that Fortress has, and Regal has it on their urban rail line as well, looks really sharp to me compared to glossy white. Glossy white looks kind of
inexpensive,
budgety to me.
Looks cheap.
The matte white looks classy, I think. So even something simple as that can give you a totally different aesthetic, I think. But yeah, the post size.
That's the big one.
I think really gives a different look for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't have any more railing questions.
Good.
There was only 9.
Deck Protect says...
Shane would have lost it in this one.
Yeah, you need one.
He would have written 10.
9's my favorite number, so I'm okay with this.
Oh, okay.
I wore number 9.
Basketball.
And hockey when I was younger. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Wouldn't let me have it. Like, you're a
99.
You're for sure a 41. Who's been 41? Nobody. That's the point. Leg day, that's funny, says Deck Protect. Then he says, gray alternative decking is baffling to me. Why?
Gray?
It's
like
not baffling to me. The decking I have no problem with. I like a lot of the gray decking. I think it's quite sharp. What's your problem with gray decking, John?
Because he does wood all the time. And that's brown.
This is true.
He's a wood guy.
This is true. But I think that look of, if they're trying to replicate something that looks like weathered gray patinaed Ipe, I think is a very nice look. And you're going to get that with something like Azek Coastline or Decorator's Tundra or Fiberon Promenade. What is it? What's the light gray one?
Moonlit
Cove.
Is it Moonlit Cove?
That's what I wanted to say, but so whatever the light gray one is, that hairline graining with some subtle streaking to it, I think it looks sharp as hell. Now, if your house is all white and gray as it is, then yeah, maybe you want to contrast that with a pop of color. Maybe that's not the one for you. But I think it looks really good in a lot of cases. So certainly the people have spoken on that. We sell way, 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 way more gray decking than we do browns, even though that might be starting to shift. The warm grays are happening for last few years. It's been a thing, right?
I feel warm grays are starting to come.
I feel like gray's easier to like compromise on.
The other
generally,
it doesn't really. It goes with anything.
it goes with anything.
It's an easy. It's hard to find a conflict and be like, yeah, it doesn't go with the house. No, gray can really work with anything. It's extremely neutral. So yeah,
and spend your money on the lighting anyway.
Right. Sure.
It's gonna look better.
Yeah.
Anyways, anything else?
No, that's all I got to say about that.
That's all you got to say about railing.
It's tough to have a good good
riveting-
conversation about railing.
riveting
So I like
railing
how it was structured.
conversation.
So thanks to Chase. Where's he? Does it say where he's from?
Nope.
He was a contributor
Just
to
Chase.
that Merchant Building Products
How did
magazine.
you get in there?
Chase Moritz.
How do you get in that art? Like, how do you reach out to them and tell them you want to write an article?
Dear Merchant Magazine. Yeah, I don't know.
Deck Protect says if you clear oil wood, it goes gray. Yeah, and that's the
That's
the
what people
look.
are doing.
That's what they like. The look of that, I think, without the maintenance of it.
No
Right.
maintenance.
That's a good compromise.
Less maintenance, I guess.
Love it.
Cool.
That's it for me.
Washing things is not maintenance.
Okay, we're gonna go there.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Here's where you. Okay, fine. I'll bite.
I don't like why. I don't know why we have to.
Is
like,
washing your jeans maintenance?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
If I don't upkeep the washing of my jeans, I can't wear them anymore.
You're washing them,
No,
not
that's
maintaining
not true. You
them.
can wear them.
Maintaining it would be like taking it into a seamstress and getting her to
Getting the new fly put
hem
in.
some things, or getting a new fly put in, or patching something.
The knees or
that's maintaining it for a longer life. Cleaning it is not.
cleaning it is cleaning it. It's not maintaining it.
Cleaning it doesn't help with maintenance?
No,
No.
the car analogy is my best.
Okay.
Washing your car
Right.
isn't maintaining it.
Took it to
Changing the oil is maintaining
I
it.
took it to the service station so I could get it maintained. What'd they do? Yeah, they washed it.
They do wash it, though.
No, they don't. Only if you pay them $100.
They do wash it. You got to pay them to do everything, so.
Anyways, I hate when manufacturers are like, well, you're not allowed to say it's maintenance free. It's
Slow
like,
maintenance.
it is maintenance free.
But they've all gone that way. They're all scared to say that now. They all say it's low maintenance decking.
Such crap.
But are they really talking about washing it, or are they talking about other stuff?
So they're talking about washing it.
Because it
somebody
could
got
rot.
mad.
It could do this.
It's because some lady spilled coffee on herself and then sued McDonald's and got rich. And now everybody has to be so careful.
But what is the purpose of maintaining something? It's to make it last longer.
Increase longevity.
right? And so if you let your composite deck be dirty, it's not shortening the life. So washing it isn't maintaining anything. It's not doing anything other than
I mean,
making
you
it
could
look
argue
better.
that
How?
Could you?
So if like you got a bunch of rocks on your deck
All ears.
and you don't sweep it and you go on.
So now
your
you're
deck,
saying
I'm just
sweeping it is
saying-
maintenance?
Yeah, it could be.
No.
It's
but like-
preventative maintenance.
But it doesn't wreck it. Like it
Yeah, if
wrecks
I
it
step
as-
on-
The rocks being there
it wrecks
doesn't hurt
it
anything.
Aesthetically, it wrecks it.
I could easily scratch it.
Right. But that doesn't mean that it now deteriorates and breaks down and falls apart. It just means it's scratched.
Right. Okay. I don't know if I want to get into this.
Your table on the deck could scratch your deck.
Yeah, it could.
Not could, will.
Moving
Well.
your table isn't maintenance.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
No, you're right. It's not.
It's labor.
It's not.
Labor.
Curtis Patala says, I wish my wife was maintenance free. Holy.
Wow.
He uses the term ultra low maintenance for his wife or for his decking.
Ooh.
Okay. So debatable whether cleaning is maintenance or not. This will be an argument
It's
that
not maintenance.
I knew it.
I'm just trying to provoke
playing
conversation.
Devil's advocate over there.
You guys are way funnier when I make you mad.
Right? Is Bryce looking, Haney Construction, is Bryce looking for a get your rocks off on your deck comment?
Get your rocks off.
Yeah. Because you were like,
Yeah.
Bryce, what are you doing this week while we're gone? You doing anything cool this weekend?
No, I'm not.
are you going bear hunting?
I'm
You must
not
be-
going bear hunting.
You're going to go catch fish, feed yourself?
cow tipping at least? or-
No. I'm not really doing anything interesting this weekend. What?
Okay.
Why did you think I was?
Well,
What did you think I was doing?
wicked things come in threes. So I figured if we're
No,
doing
I'm not
cool
doing
things,
anything
you gotta
cool
do
this
So
cool
weekend.
Dana's going camping. Then.
Dana is
She-
going camping.
Yeah, she's going fishing and camping.
She's probably going to take her BioLite stove.
She
She's
sure
a big
is.
fan of
She
that
is.
too, eh?
She
Yeah.
is.
I missed out on
So-
Did you see Compound is burning the old BioLites?
He does have his BioLite stove going,
Is
yeah.
that
BioLite plug here right now. You haven't gotten anything yet?
No. I'm waiting.
got
That
the light.
BioLite stuff is freaking cool, which I've thought from the day even before, that's why I ordered it, because I thought it was really cool stuff. But when it showed up, we're like, wow, this is even cooler than I thought. And now I've actually I've used my little camp stove once now. I'm totally taking it with me up north. Mm-hmm. I'm allowed 60 pounds. I'll find 2 pounds to bring that little stove with me because it's really cool. But I'm also downstairs going to do some shopping today to buy some more of the BioLite, like the Alpenglow lantern.
Yeah.
I want to bring that up there. I'm going to grab one of the battery packs.
What about solar panels?
I was thinking about the solar panel, and I don't know if I'll actually use it up there. But eventually, I do
Because
want to
you
get
have
one of
so
the
much
solar-
electricity.
Well, there's a
Plug into-
generator up there,
Yeah, but you turn the generator off at night.
right? But I don't know that
Let's be honest.
during the day when the
Probably
sun's
the
out, I'm going to
most-
have my gadgets with me in the boat.
Right.
But you don't
which
need
you
your
won't
light.
need. Which you won't need. Which you won't need because your gadgets aren't going to work. Like typically, what you need power for is your phone, and it's not going to work.
Yeah, well, I'll be taking pictures though. My phone.
Yeah.
That's
But
what I
it's-
need it for.
It turns out the connection to the world is what burns battery.
Yeah, fair enough. And I will be like reading. Like I'll bring some books, my phone, whatever. Like if we get-
okay. I was like, you're gonna bring paper books?
Nope.
You should get a paper book.
Nope.
You should get a paper book.
You're going to be off.
No,
the
they
grid.
weigh too much. Did it hiccup there? Why would I do that? I can put 10 books on my phone and it weighs no more than if I had no books on my phone.
never gonna read 10 books.
You can't read.
I might listen to 10.
Yeah.
Like they might be picture books in audio format.
Picture book. It's Curious George.
There's a picture of a bear.
I challenge you to go on day 3. I challenge you to not touch your phone at all. Not at all. The first 2 days is too hard, but then on the 3rd day, try to like not touch it.
Well, I don't imagine I'll touch my phone lots. Like I'm going to want to take some pictures and some videos while we're there, and that's going to be on my phone. And like,
Do you want me to send a camera up with you? You could use a real camera.
no, I don't want to do that.
Oh.
Got 60 pounds.
Oh yeah.
It's a weight thing.
I don't need.
It's just really
I don't
hard.
need
So I've done this.
professional photographer quality walleye pics. I just wanted a picture.
I've done
Right.
this. Like I've done this off the grid stuff, and it is like the first 2 days is so tricky because you're just so used to using your phone,
Oh, 100%. There's going to be an itch to grab my phone and have a look at it.
and then by the 3rd day, you're like, "God, it's so good. That thing's not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's the best."
Yeah.
Then when you come out of there, it explodes. It's like bang, bang, bang,
Oh,
bang,
yeah.
bang, 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 bang,
Yeah.
bang, bang, and you have like 600 emails and chats, and it'll be wild.
No, I'm looking forward to turning it off because
It's good.
I don't do a good job of turning it off.
No?
Nope.
I love turning it off.
I don't.
I like-
it's just like,
Like 6, 7 o'clock at
Yeah,
night.
you ever
I
try
put it
and
on the
get-
counter and I just walk
You
away.
ever try and get a hold of Bryce at 7?
Yeah, it
I do
doesn't
occasionally.
happen.
gonzo, eh?
Not
Yeah.
good.
I should be better at it, but I think that this like forced reprieve from technology will be enjoyable. So fishing aside, I believe that I will probably fall in love with fishing a bit more this weekend. Like it's not something I ever feel the desire to go do. I believe I would enjoy it if I ever went and did it. Like, because like I said, my mind is going all the time. The idea of sitting in a boat and doing nothing feels a little foreign to
Only
me.
having one task, fishing.
Right. But I think this will also
Yeah.
be good. Like this is gonna be cool because it's like a chance for my dad and my father-in-law and brother all just like
How many boats do you have?
talk.
2 boats?
I think there's actually a few boats up there. I believe in pictures I've seen there's like 6 boats on the
Are
shore.
you gonna?
Race.
Do you have a schedule where you're gonna like fish with your dad one day and then fish with your brother-in-law one day and then
fish by yourself.
No, I don't know what our plan is.
Okay, so when we'd go on this trip, there'd be 6 of us that would go, and then we would set up a like one day I fish with Luke, and then one day I fish with Drew, and then one day I
Gotcha.
fish with Chris. Right. Anyways, it would be good. You'll have like totally different conversations each day, right? Like you and
Yeah, I bet.
Jackson would have a
So even the drive up there is 8 hours,
That's I was gonna say that's a long drive.
right? And so it's gonna be like there's gonna be a lot of conversation that we wouldn't normally have.
Yeah.
Like my dad and I don't have phone calls. If we're on the phone, it's because he's on his way to Regina and he wants to know if we're home. And it's
Right,
like, yeah,
exactly.
we are. See you soon. That's
your
it.
dad isn't the
right?
chattiest guy.
Not the chattiest guy. And I'm not a chatty phone person either. And so,
Send me a text.
yeah, there'll be that.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
like, I like my brother-in-law lives in PA. He lives up north. I don't see him a ton. We don't sit there and have hour-long conversations either. So this will be different. I'm curious how this.
Yeah.
How this
The car ride will be the worst. Once you're on the boat, then it's good. That's for real. It's like it's just
I love driving.
But
so.
I've always wanted to just kind of like go rough it in the woods, off the grid a little bit.
Yeah.
Just from a camping perspective, like not even like let's go on a fishing trip. Just like packing your camp stove in a tent, hiking a bunch, setting up shop somewhere, and just doing that. So this is going to be close to that. We'll have a cabin up there, but it's going to be about as rough as you can get without the cabin. Right? There's like off the grid and like.
Over the last 2 years, I've really
cook what you catch. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah,
like eat what you catch.
So that's super good. Over the last couple of years, I've started to entertain this idea of like backpacking into the mountains.
Oh yeah, let's do that. I'd do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do it or like I feel like I could, but I wonder if I'm like misled in how much work that actually is.
I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
So I don't want to do something that there's like, I don't want to do something where it's like there's a chance you don't come back out of there. I don't want to do that kind of trip.
Right.
But like somewhat traveled like
a
trail map, and it's like you do this and then you whatever. Yeah, and it's like
a 4-day hike, and you like hike to a place and then camp and then hike to a new place and then camp and then
and you
hike and you're out.
You fish the rivers or something and catch your odd meal and scavenge for berries a little bit and like.
Yeah, I don't know if I do that.
I
eat mushrooms. Just be like,
just start eating stuff.
Eat this mushroom.
I'd be okay throwing some backup food in the backpack, whatever. But like,
absolutely,
I like the idea of doing that because camping has become so
glamping,
right? Like when we go camping, it's usually with one of our parents. There's a 35-foot fifth wheel with TVs and air conditioners, and like are we roughing it?
No, you're not.
The roughing it is like, my clothes smell like smoke. That's about as like roughing as it gets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
but not in a BioLite, because if you had a BioLite fire, it wouldn't smell.
Doesn't smoke at all.
Right. But I think it'd be cool just like to have to live off, not like short term, like go in the mountains for 3 days and like live off, figure it out.
When the coronavirus first happened, I thought I was going to end up at the cabin because everybody was going so crazy and they're like stealing stuff and everybody was buying things. I was like, well, this is getting a little out of hand.
Time to leave.
I think I'm going to go to the forest. Mm-hmm. And then at least there, you're like left to your own devices. Nobody kind of shows up and bugs you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So anyways, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy this little trip. And it'll be cool to just be out. Like, it'll be different for sure. Being out where there's like no other souls around.
Yeah.
It'll be different. So,
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, super cool. Okay, let's get you on your way.
Let's rock and roll.
Okay.
See you guys next week.
Peace.
Hey, thank you for listening to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Now you know what we're about. Check the site, come and shop. UltimateDeckShop.com. Hit us right away for sponsorships. So tell us if you want to collaborate. Let's go. Check us out on any social networks. Thank you for listening.